add me to the email list. If you have not received an email from me ever, you are not on my email list. If you want to be added, just check this box here. If you don't check it. But just write your name, print your name, and your email address, please. And Ms. Mitchell is going to make sure that gets to you. Okay, just one on each side. Now, you developers don't have to. If you, okay. All right, we're going to get started. We do have someone here from Metro Codes. Oh, okay, all right, okay. We do have someone here from Metro Codes that may be able to answer a question. Um, our planning person is not here, even though I requested that he be here. They sent codes, but he said there are some questions he can answer. Um, a couple of things. Next week, for those especially in the Clarksville Highway area from Kings Lane down to Ashland City, we've had quite a few crimes here lately, really within the last week. We had 2 shootings on Sunday. There was a shooting, and either the man is in critical condition or he may have passed, I don't know. There was a shooting at the Quicksack. There was a shooting in front of Timothy Park. That one was caught on someone's Ring camera, the doorbell. That was caught. But there was a shooting there. There was shooting, like I said, at Quicksack. The Harris Plaza was broken into 2 times. Each time there was video footage, though. But someone, the last time they kicked in her door, they took cash registers. So we have that problem. Someone, my understanding is someone broke into Domino's and shot the cash register, I believe. And then there have been some other things that happened, but these have all just happened here within the last week or so. So next week, I've already contacted Metro Police. We're going to have to get together and come up with something. I mean, I don't know if we're going to have to pool our money together and try to get a private company to patrol our streets or something, or we're going to have to start an effective neighborhood watch. We're going to have to do something. So make sure next week you come with some ideas. This should be a safe place. When they do these things, our insurance rates go up and our property values go down. We've got to do something. We've got to work together on that. We will get to that next week. Okay, so we have a few zoning issues, and we need to get into that now. When people present, please let's just be respectful. It worked. We had a meeting last week in Jolton. It worked. Everybody, showed respect. They allowed the presenters to present. They asked their questions. And let's let them finish with their presentation before we ask questions. You will be able to ask your questions. Let's just let them get through that. Let's start with you in the back. I'm sorry. What's your name? I apologize. I'm trying to go in order that I emailed them. Do you see my iPhone? Now, this man is going to go, he has 3 rezonings. The first 3, and he'll tell you the addresses of each. Initially, he's had some community meetings, but not with us, because initially he was in another district, and he had them there. And then, they changed the districts during this last election. So he was in either 2 or 3. Did you have Toombs or Gamble? Okay.
District 2.
He was in 2, and you said 2? Okay, and now he's in 1. So because I promised my community that before I supported any rezoning, I would let the community be heard. He's coming here tonight to be heard in front of this community. He's in a rare case, although he's been heard in another, well, that was your community at the time. He's been heard in another community, but to keep my word, I want to make sure that you all have input, because now it is District 1. And here you go.
Great.
I'm sorry? Am I going to change District 1? I don't have the ability. Yes, like we picked up, like now we have Golden Valley. So things were changed. So people who used to be in two, we have some of two. They took some of one. Part of Kings Lane is now in two. Part of Kings Lane. So there was just some redistricting. So now he's in one, even though he was in two.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. So pretty much everything to the left side of Clarksville Pike is now in District 1. When there was a pretty big chunk from like Hydes Ferry and County Hospital to Clarksville was in 2, now it's in 1. So anyways, well, thank you for that introduction. I also want to give Mr. Joey Hargis back there with codes a shout out. He is extremely knowledgeable. I would be shocked if he could not answer a codes or planning or zoning question. But my name is Alex Craw. Just to give you a short introduction, with CNH Properties, born and raised here in Nashville and Bellevue. I live in Charlotte Park, which is just on the other side of the river in District 20. And since 2013, my business partner Keith and I have built over 50 homes, and over 25 of those have been in the North Nashville, TSU, and Bordeaux areas. To some background about our company, we're very active. We try to be as active as we can be in the community. In that time, we've donated over $30,000 to charities that directly affect this Bordeaux community, like Rebuilding Together Nashville, Creative Girls Rock, and we also host, we adopted a street on River Drive. We adopted that about a year ago, and that's a 3-year commitment to clean the street at least 4 times a year. So all of these rezoning cases are pretty similar in that we are asking for a change in RS10 zoning to R10 zoning, and that's for us to be able to build more homes than are allowed on the lot. Currently, these lots will host 1 home, and we are requesting 2 homes to be built on the lot. Our philosophy in these immediate streets, and as we know, neighborhoods are different, streets are different as you drive by, but our philosophy is to build slightly smaller homes, same quality as newer homes, but there are a lot of people in my life that are looking for a quality home at an affordable price, and what we're trying to do is build a good quality product that's smaller, that would accommodate them and their lifestyles and kind of help Nashville's affordability issue. So I'll start talking about the first one. There's 2 side-by-side lots on Elizabeth Road, which Elizabeth Road is the closest one to here. It's between Hydes Ferry Road and Clarksville, pretty much Clarksville Pike there. We purchased an existing home on one lot. It has a really big shed, garage, 2-story block building that we would like to demolish and create a small or tiny home there. Something in the 800 to 900 square foot home. What's that? What's that? Oh, thank you. No, it's going to be a single story, probably 800 or 900 square foot home with 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. I have some examples. We've been pretty successful of building some alternative housing where you have 2 smaller homes on one lot, kind of 1 in the front, 1 in the back, so each home has privacy. A lot of these lots are pretty deep, like 200, 250 feet deep, so you're able to do that with 1 driveway to kind of minimize driveway cuts there. It also came with a vacant lot next door that has just been a gravel lot, and we want to build 2 smaller, probably 1,400 or 1,500 square foot homes on that vacant lot. It's already been cleared. In this particular instance, we won't be removing any mature trees, just kind of accepting the lot, turning what was a gravel lot into 2 homes with a shared parking area. I do want to mention that next door at 1815 Elizabeth, I haven't spoken with the owner, but I know that owner has applied for the same rezoning. Their house, it's an old stone house, and it is in very, very poor condition. The last I heard, there was like a 10-foot hole in the floors, and the last tenants that lived in there completely trashed the place. And I point that out because we have a really nice, neighbors have told me it's between 80 and 120 years old rock wall. That's beautiful stone hand-built wall that we are going to preserve. So I just wanted to point that out. That's a really cool feature of this street if you drive up and down Elizabeth. I'll take any questions about Elizabeth. That's probably going to be the easiest with. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I actually brought, I think, 11 or 12 homes that we've built in the last 3 or 4 years in this area. I wrote the addresses and the square footages. I have them down here, and I can kind of pass those out. It will, and this is one, Elizabeth, we know what our house plans are going to be. It's going to have a complete brick facade, and it's going to be 2 stories with a 1-car garage. And I do have those plans here if you do want to see those. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I would say so. I mean, the feedback that I get is people are looking for affordable, well-built homes at a lower price point, and sometimes that means it's a smaller home. One of the first, we've probably built 8 homes under 1,000 square feet, new homes, and the first one that we built was 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. It was 640 square feet, and the couple that moved into it was living in a 2,800 square foot home at the time, and they just wanted to get rid of their stuff and live more of a minimalist lifestyle. So they basically wanted a house instead of a condo or an apartment, but they were comfortable with the size of a condo or an apartment. Oh, sure. That's a great idea. Thank you so much. I'll start, I guess. I've got the house plan for the 2 on Elizabeth. I can get that started on this side. It's just one. But yes, it's just one. It's just rolled up because it's large. What's that? No, those are all different. Those are all different examples of homes that we've built in Bordeaux, in TSU, and I wrote the addresses down and the square footages on those. Yes. For these, I think we'll be somewhere in the low 4s. It's going to be right around 300. Sometimes a little bit higher if it's a really small build. And that's another good point that I wanted to make, is that sometimes people are concerned with smaller homes going in a neighborhood that's going to bring their home value down, and they've actually is not the case, because the smaller the home, usually the more dollars per square foot, and your larger 2,000 square foot home is not going to be compared to a smaller home. Okay, I guess when that gets passed around, I'll talk about the second one, unless I have any more questions. Oh, sure. Elizabeth Road. There is an Elizabeth Street, and it's different. There's going to be, so on this particular property, there's an existing house that's on one of the lots with a really like a 2-story cinder block. I don't know if it was used as a barn or a garage or storage, but we're wanting to turn that block building into kind of a smaller home on the first lot, so keep the existing house, and on the second lot, which is just a graveled vacant lot, 2 homes that are going to be side by side. Yes, ma'am. It'll be a total of 3, and then the one that's already existing is going to stay that way. No, man, we've actually not built this exact plan with the brick facade. You'll see several different facades in those examples. Some are brick, some are like hardy board, fiber cement siding, and some are vinyl siding. Those examples are 2, 3, and 2 and 3 bedroom. Correct. It's either going to be a vinyl siding on the sides and the rear, and again, we're trying to be as price conscious as we can, with still keeping a nice facade, or it's going to be painted hardy. Sure. Yeah, I have no problems using brick on the facades here. They've been asking questions, but okay, I'll do that. The second one is just literally one street in front of Elizabeth Road is Ashton Avenue, and this is at 1812 Ashton Avenue. And we're working with the homeowner there, Miss Carrie Todd, and she's owned and lived here for over 25 years. And this first property, probably the first image that you saw there with the little picket fence, that's right across the street from this property at 1813. And this is one where we kind of designed 2 smaller homes on the lot using a shared driveway. In this instance, I'm not sure if these lots are 200 feet deep, so that's significantly deep. And that's the reason why we did this, so that you wouldn't have a house with such a deep lot that you couldn't really, perceivably use. I'd rather have equal amounts of front yard as I would backyard in a best case scenario. But so we built the 2 homes across the street that were 1,100 and 800 square feet. One of them was completely handicap ADA accessible, which is another need that we see for single-story homes and for also homes for seniors and handicap accessible. So our homeowner, or our seller, or our buyer, Blythe, she bought this home. This was her first home. She'd been living in Germantown for 5 years. She had just turned 40 this year, and I was going to have her come and kind of speak to that effect of the pleasure of being able to be a homeowner, and the fact that she had been looking for a long time for something in this neighborhood at this price point, and just couldn't because the homes were larger and out of her budget. So she sent me an email, and I'd like to read that if I could, and then I'm going to answer any questions that you guys have on this one. All right, so this is Blythe Daniels, and I purchased a new home located at 1813 Ashton Avenue back in September from Alex and Keith. It was smaller than most other new construction in the area, which fit my lifestyle and budget. Alex and Keith built a very quality product, and the finishes and upgrades matched homes at a higher size and price point. As a recent first-time homebuyer, I support their effort to build smaller homes and help others achieve home ownership. I support the rezoning requests at 1812 Ashton Avenue and 1813 Elizabeth Road for those reasons. Thank you. So she also said you could stop by. She works from home and has a little dog. This is why we did a picket fence in the front, so you'll often see that dog out there. The eligibility as far as historic preservation? I am, and some of these, some of these sections of streets have very different facades and have very different building materials from house to house, from lot to lot. So I guess when we approach this, we kind of look at what's there, what's existing, how can we help blend in but also improve what's there. So yeah, so that's mostly in mind with the size. Like putting a 3-story home with a rooftop deck here would make 0 sense for everyone, and also, these are cohesive neighborhoods. They were that way, and we're trying to keep it that way. Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought up the conservation effort. One thing, we try to get to know our neighbors on either side, front and back. We talk to them, we give them our information in case, neighbors are a great resource in case they see something that shouldn't be happening on a job site. All that, we try to help our neighbors as much as we can, and we've been, offering, we put in and plant new trees for every single house we build. There's a requirement. Depending on your road frontage, we try to exceed that requirement. And I kind of have a sign-up sheet. I don't know if you guys are living in these particular streets or areas, but one thing that we've been offering neighbors is to plant a tree in their yard, in a place of their choosing, if they can kind of schedule and coordinate around when we're planting our trees. So yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And obviously we try to, I know people have different, when I say the word hackberry, people have different reactions to that. But if it's a, for lack of a better word, a good tree, that we try our best to keep it, restore it, plant those. I have one more, but it's along the same lines. It's along the same story at 1705 River Drive. Now this is a house property that does need to be torn down. Essentially, this is surrounded by 1-story, some 1.5-story homes. We're wanting to build 1- and 2-story homes. There is a lot of brick throughout River Drive, so all of these projects would have brick, and I think that's just to match the existing neighborhood on what's to the left, to the right, and across the street. Most homes range in size between like 900 and 1,600 square feet on this section of the street, so that's what we would shoot for here. Yes, rebuilding Nashville together. Yes, ma'am. Between donations, and we've actually done some of the renovations for residents. I think it's an awesome program. Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was getting something printed in line at a print shop, and someone came in and they were printing a huge map of Bordeaux, and I was like, whoa, that's like, this house that we're going to building is going to be right there. And they told me all about I had no idea. They told me all about their mission statement, helping owners and residents that live here that either can't afford or can't physically do renovations and safety themselves. So it's a great. Oh, awesome. That's great. Are there any other? Oh, sure.
I'm sorry, you all, that we're a little bit more rushed than I thought because I didn't know about the choir rehearsal. But if you want, you can follow up with me on anything. I'll still take emails. I'm not trying to make some rush decision this evening. So if you need to follow up with me via email or call me, do so. And like Anita, you were saying that you needed to know something about the bricks or whatever. Remind me to make sure I stay on that, because you know I forget stuff. So, you send me an email and, just say, Joy, don't forget, and this man said something about bricks. I need you to follow up and see if that's something we can make him do, or, make sure it's done, okay? But if you all have other questions or something comes to you later on, let me know, because we're going to have to keep moving. Yes, ma'am. But thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. And to that, I've got business cards, and the next, I do have some flyers. Our next neighborhood cleanup on River Drive is going to be the first Saturday of January. And I'll get with you about sending that on an email. Okay. Absolutely. Yep, I've got those. All right, thank you.
And it's also my fault, because I said we're going to start limiting these to 4 presentations. I just knew he had 3 himself, so I just kind of, and it was the end of the year, so I didn't really do what I said I was going to do on that. Okay, so then next week, 3411 Heights Ferry. Is that Miss Epps? Miss Epps, come on. Now, Miss Epps has come to a community meeting before, and she wanted to build on Heights Ferry. Is that Old Heights Ferry? Okay, Heights Ferry Road. I actually went by there myself to see what was there. Right now, it's just like a dilapidated church, and it's kind of like an eyesore. And I thought maybe something there would look better after she did this. I want you all to know now, I'm not in cahoots with anybody. I just went and tried to look at it myself. But she came before, and I think people did not like we were at the other church at that time. I think people didn't like the idea that she was attempting to build 4 homes on 0.37 acres. So I didn't approve it, because you all didn't want it. But now she's saying she will reduce that to 2 on 0.37 acres. I think that's better. I think it's better. And I think, she's trying to meet us halfway. And I don't want to get to the point where I'm just being unreasonable. It's her property. She owns the property. But I do want to hear from you all. I know all of you all weren't here before, but it's you have the address. I tried to send the addresses out. It is on Heights Ferry Road, 3411 Heights Ferry Road, like going toward County Hospital. You take that little. No, we went to see, is this the one we went to see? Yeah. On Heights Ferry Road.
Go down. Yes.
Isn't that the one like we're going toward
Yeah,
County
that's
Hospital?
Yeah.
Okay, we went that side way, but you're going toward, in that County Hospital? Okay, that's what I said. Okay. All right. Okay, so if you have questions for her, ask her questions, and English is not her first language. Tell you that. Okay. If you have questions.
No, ma'am. So what we're looking at doing is 1,200 to 15 square foot on it. It's not 1,200 to 15. Yeah, that's what we're looking at this time. Yes, ma'am. No, I do not, but I've gone there with a contractor but it's something that is going to actually look good on the community, and it's going to be affordable. And, for now, I haven't, no, I've gone there with a contractor, but I don't have something to show. But whatever we're going to do there, I promise you people, is something the community will like. And we'll make sure the home will be affordable for. Mhm. Okay. Do I have what? Oh, 300. Not now. Not now. Yes. Not now. We like what she has explained to you, to the community here. I promise you guys, you're not going to see anything less. It's going to be something the community will like. I don't think, as for me, I do not think like you said we're coming back. I don't understand what you mean by we coming back. When you want us to come back, what do you actually want us to do? Yeah.
That was too many houses for such a small lot. They thought 4 houses on .37 was too many. And I respect the community's opinion. She came back to me and asked
When you say primary approval,
That's trying to stop people from wasting their money. I tell you, don't even go down there to plan it, but you can pay
yeah, it's, I've done we've done the pre-application with the planning, and they actually approve it. I have it in my email. I can pull it up. Pre-application, they approve it for 4-unit subdivide. But I don't want to go with that. I want to go with what she can. So that's why I'm here today. Yeah.
She went through the pre-application process. That's not the one with the pay. But you go down and you have a formula planning, you tell them, and the planning approves her pre-application. We are the holder. But planning approved it for 4.
For 4.
But we said no to 4. We said we don't want 4 houses on Point East Drive. So now she's coming with 2. So let's, and I understand there's some legitimate questions about what's gonna be built, that sort of thing.
No, I have it on my phone. I have. Yeah. Okay, so. Mhm. So from what I'm getting tonight is, if I'm coming back here, you guys need a picture of what we want to do in the property. Is that correct? Okay. So. Okay, I will do that when I'm coming. She will follow up with me and I will do that. Thank you so much.
Now, let's see, it's 6:42. We're gonna go out of order because I'm gonna leave the warehouse church for last. I'll do that last, because I think you're gonna have more questions on that. The next one is the church, pastor, I'm sorry, Pastor, come on up here and tell them. Now, this is the church that used to be let me stand up. The old, you know what Rose of Sharon was on West Hamilton and what's the name of that street? Milford Road. You know, you cut through there to go to Kroger sometime. That was the old Rose of Sharon, but now it's St. Mark Missionary Baptist Church. And so what they want to do is add on to the church. And Metro, that's where zoning comes in. Metro has some type of procedure if it's a church and you want to add on. I was totally unfamiliar. But it seems like they have to start. I thought he was trying to appeal something, but you have to, it looks like you have to start with BZA. Okay. Okay. So just tell them what you want to do, Pastor.
Thank you so very much. I think my voice is strong enough. Okay.
Take this one.
Okay. Thank you. Again, I'm Pastor Kenneth Richardson with the St. Mark Missionary Baptist Church here in Nashville, Tennessee. We were on 6th Avenue North in Germantown for many years, and then we relocated to Milford Road here about 5 years ago. We are literally making our fellowship hall, which we don't have one now. We're building a fellowship hall, and then we find out that we have to go through the process of the community meeting as well as codes, and we want to follow every rule so that we're not out of order in any manner. We're not a developer trying to develop anything except the community. We want to be able to have worship, fellowship, engage with the community, show love to everybody, and prayerfully, everybody can show us love as well. That's it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You've seen that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We basically bail them out, and we're not wanting to hurt anybody. We just want to help. Yes, if everything goes okay.
Well, Regina, that's why he had to come tonight, because
Right.
for them, a community meeting is required. For everybody else, I kind of have my unofficial requirement, but for them, it is a requirement. They have to have a community meeting, then they have to go before the Board of Zoning Appeal, and they do ask the council person whether or not you support it. And I didn't have a reason not to support it. You know, at first, I didn't see anything wrong, but I did come before the community just in case you all had an issue or something. And, okay, well, does anybody, because if you do see something wrong, we can address that now so we can move on to the next one. Or, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I live in that area as well, and I see that you all seem to be really growing. And there's a lot of traffic over there, and a lot of people are parking on the street. So do you have any design for increasing your parking space or your parking lot as well as building this fellowship? Because a lot of
Yes.
people are just parking in front of people's homes on the street currently.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That particular issue, it has happened a couple of times when you had different things that were abnormally large, like funerals and things. And we've put and had hired people. We've hired people to security, parking, to handle that. But this is part of what we're doing now, is so that we can properly facilitate whatever is necessary. So yes, we will be adding to the lot and everything else. But this is the process. You have to go through this in order to do anything. No, we're actually building a fellowship hall, because right now now it's gotten cold, can't get outside in the tent. Yes, ma'am. We will. We will. That's part of the process. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. It's going to be behind. We're literally going to hook directly to the existing facility and go back. Yes. And then we can make the lot bigger to handle more parking spaces. As long as it takes for us to get approved, and then the contractors to come in and do what they do. I'm not a builder as far as with nails and hammers. I'm a builder of souls, hearts, and minds. So I don't speak on what I really don't know. So I'm not gonna say it's gonna take 6 months and it take a year. I'm not gonna say it take a year and it take 2 years, but we are prepared to finish. We're not just going in starting. We have our funds ready. We want to get started, and we want to complete it as soon as godly possible. I think I heard somebody say we approve, but I think I need to hear it from somebody.
Is there anybody else has a question about? Has everybody signed in? Because he has to have proof he had a meeting. Has everybody signed in? Okay, go. It's outside. Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
And I'll
Councilwoman.
I'll
Thank you
get
so
with
much.
you on the list of names.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank everybody.
Okay. Oh, can Miss Epps get back up? She has a picture she was saying. Yeah, this is what we want to do. Yeah. Yeah. And this one is just not far from, it's not far from the same property. Where he's doing this, it's not far, it's almost like same. Okay, I believe she was saying that she wanted to do something similar to that. Okay. She was giving an idea. We'll follow back up and make sure we follow back up. Okay, look. Okay. Come on, Miss Epps. Come back up here. Let's come on. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I see what you're saying. You want it similar to that.
Yes.
Very similar to
But
that.
it's gonna be, it's separate, yeah. Just
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
And it's not even far from this address where he's presented his, it's just like 2 minutes from
Okay.
where this one now you're gonna
Okay.
let him do.
I'm gonna follow up with you. They want to see something more concrete. Like I got you. Okay. All right. And then finally, this is gonna be the final presentation, and that will be the warehouse and the church. Now, and remember, you all, we're gonna be respectful. We're gonna hear this through, and then you can ask your questions like you've been doing all night. You'll be allowed to ask questions. Nobody's gonna get anything over on anybody. Everybody's gonna be able to ask questions. So do you, or does the church come first, or do you all come first? Okay. And remember, a lot of people here know nothing. You might want to start from the very beginning.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elder Aaron Lockhart. I'm with the Church of Living God, Pilgrim Ground and Truth. I also share the same sentiment as the previous pastor with the community. So what I would like to do is make sure that everybody who has not had a chance to see the presentation, you can ask questions. I have made the presentation here with the community group a few times, so I feel that if it's redundant and you've seen it already, I apologize for that, but I just want to make sure we're open and transparent. And Joy also says that she wants the same, so as the presentation of items is presented to you, you're able to ask those questions, and feel free to call me if you have any other questions regarding what we're trying to do. I did email the item to you, sir. No? To the email you gave me? Okay. Well, we do have handouts, so what we have, Joy, is if there are those who haven't seen it, there are handouts, and I can take questions. Really quickly, the church is looking to establish a facility off of the Ashland City Highway that abuts up to Cato Road. For the residents who are in that area, the Cato Road area is where the, I want to say that's the eastern boundary Don't quote me on that. But what happens is we have facilities that we're looking to develop. Okay, he's looking that up. So you can see the proximity of the property in the northwest quadrant. What we're trying to do is provide services in that community that the church already does and duplicate it. We do have our headquarters facility here in Nashville, Tennessee. Again, we've operated since 1903. I do have brochures and handouts that you can also look at as well. But what we're hoping to do, we have our national headquarters here in Nashville annually, but those facilities that we use to handle the headquarters is done at a hotel. We don't do it on the church property proper. So that was something that was brought to my attention that someone misunderstood, that that's what we were looking to do, is have a convention center at that location. That's not the case. So I wanted to clarify that. And then also someone mentioned we're building dormitories. It's 2 cottages. And that's for youth who come up to do activities. We'd have a place for them to refresh and recoup as they go out. Cottages, 2, yes, single cottages, right? That's a planned aspect. Other than that, a multi-purpose building, and I think that's all we would have. And that will be done in exchange for swapping land that is further down. And of course, we would be compensated for that. He'll bring you one, right? He needs one. And so I'll take any questions for the church. Yes, ma'am. I didn't understand anything you said. Oh, okay. Convention center, there is no convention center at that location. No. So when you say annual meeting, everyone, we do a general assembly. That's done at a hotel because it kind of ballroom, things like that. That's the kind of space we use. Not on this headquarters property. I don't know why it comes up with convention center. We're not building a convention center. We're not building a convention center. A multi-purpose building is what we're hoping to have. You know, you can play basketball in there. You can have a meeting similar to this, stuff like that. Uh-huh. Right. So as the church body goes, a multi-purpose building would serve a number of things. I mean, you could do a lot of things in that, and I don't want to limit it to just saying in front of the community, hey, we're only going to use it for this. It could be purposed almost for anything, and that's where our hope is. Right. So I'm glad you asked that question. 3 administrative personnel would work there. 3, yes. Yeah, so yes, ma'am. Right. So we would have the office area for the general secretary, the publications person, and a lay person that would be up there to help administer. Our chief overseer is out of Tuskegee, Alabama, and our assistant chief overseer is out of West Palm Beach. So whenever they come to town, those administrative personnel kick in, and we help coordinate and set up a general assembly, and that's done at a local hotel. I have books up here that help show that as the history and record. We've been doing it, like I said, since 1936. Mm-hmm. Yes. No. That is correct, what you just explained. We haven't had a actual architectural rendering, but we're looking at something that could house something about just large enough for a basketball court. Right. Yeah, something like that. We do have other properties here in Nashville, and we're doing extensive renovation with that. And we do have a lot of our warehousing that takes place there for the publishing company, where we push literature out. And that's pretty much what we do as far as generating revenue for us here in Nashville, outside of us hosting our General Assembly. Yes, sir. Yeah, let's see if I can give you, he has a printout. And so the school is across the expressway. We're on the other side of it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, that is correct. Any other questions for the church? Yes. We have never had our assembly in a set building. It's always at a hotel. And we'll continue to do that. No, no. I don't have a rendering because we haven't had architectural, we're waiting to see what gets approved. And so it will be moderately sized. I wouldn't think it would be anything bigger than, like I said, to accommodate, let's say, a basketball court. When you see a multi-purpose building, that's my hope. And again, until I have an architectural rendering, that's what I'm getting at. Yes, sir. If it's in good taste, I don't see why not. Right? We're not going to have, high-risk issues that come on the church property. So, but yes, that is a use for the community because let me say this. Our General Assembly takes place the third week of July every year. Outside of that, it's pretty dormant. We don't have any activity, and that's the case for us. I wish we could have more activity. I know you have a question, sir. I just want to make that point. So yes, it will be open and available for use in the immediate community for those folks. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right. Yes, it is. It is an SP. And there I have a follow-on that will talk about what would make this more possible for the church to be able to do because we have a land swap that's involved. I don't think there's any more that the church is proposing. Just that. Two. Yes, sir. Like youth that come up and they have an activity, there's a place for them to refresh, wash up, things like that. We don't want to have them just go up and not have a facility or place for that. Oh, I am so sorry. Yeah, I don't want to eliminate any. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. You mean for our conventions? Right. Right. Mhm. Right. Well, the church has used a multi-purpose building could be recreation. Right. Recreation for our youth is what we're hoping to do. Hmm. Yes, I mean, that's what we're hoping to do, you're right, with this property. We do have those ancillary, right, opportunities. So in the previous meetings, we did offer and we did provide that the church provides services such as adult elder care, adult education, classes. That's what we would do at this location. So I can tell you before we get anything built and approved, we're hoping to have no more than 200 folks that would come on the facility to use it. You're talking about a gym size area. That's what we looked at, and that's what the church body has thought about approving for an activity. For an activity. I can't give a specific number because, like I said, if it shows up like the pastor previous to me. Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, they've had some other meetings. I wasn't a council person at the time, but they've had some other meetings. I think at one point, Berkeley, Council Lady at Large Berkeley Allen was the one carrying the legislation. They've already gone through like planning. They've changed. They went from what they wanted at first, I forgot what that zoning was, to an SP where it's a specific plan, and they've added more and more and more. I mean, added in an attempt, I think they would say to accommodate. But anyway, at some point, it was kind of like retired. I'm thinking about court cases. It was just kind of like, it's in retirement right now. It's gone. But now they're asking, hey, we want to talk to the community. We want to, and what in the end, he's a church, they're a warehouse, and what in the end, what they want to do is swap. The warehouse wants to go to the church, where the church is, and the church, is this right? It's going to go to where the where? Okay, that's what they're trying to do. And it's kind of, wait, well, y'all, now we're not going to get in a piss and match. Just hold on. Excuse, hold. No, I know what you're saying. Okay, okay. All right, but there are also some other people that had questions. I know you had one, then after you, it was another man in the back behind you. Did that man have his hand up in the green? In the, okay, okay. So let's go with her, and then we're gonna come over to you. Did somebody else have their hand up? Okay, then you'll be third, right there. Sorry. Okay, all right. Okay, now what did you want to say, sir?
Am I from here? I live in, you mean in Bordeaux? Yes.
Are you familiar with where Tabernacle of Glory used to be in South Nashville? Okay. You familiar with Temple down the street? Are you thinking about something like what they have except separate from the main church facility?
To answer your question, I would say yes. They're separate. Here, I'm sorry about that. To answer your question, we would have the two facilities. We do have a headquarters facility that sits up here on Clarksville Pike. And we also would like to say, for our youth and other activities, we would like to develop that property up there on Ashland City. So that's what we're trying to do. It'll be two remotely different locations. So that's what we're hopeful for. Again, let me say this, because I didn't want to get to a point where I didn't answer questions. I apologize. But I do want to say I got it on the hard no. Give me the reason. I'll go ahead and redress that. But as far as information and things that we're laying out, we presented this, and I got one call, and I made that information available for someone to see what the church was doing. And I can do that again. I don't have a problem with that. It's all spelled out. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. Yep. Yes, sir. Right.
That.
Right.
Well, the next question is for you. It looks like y'all have changed your zoning request from IR to SP, is that correct?
Correct, yes, sir. So I'll speak as well. So I'm Ryan Moses. I have the property next door, and I represent Best Brands. That's my family business. We've been here for, my family's, I'm a fourth generation family member in this business. We've been here in Nashville community for 130 years. So I would like to say this is my home, this is my community. Our current warehouse is down the road from this. It got hit by the tornado. It was redone. Unfortunately, we've grown past the size of that. It's on Cockrell Bend, so kind of right next to the John Tune Airport. So right now we're having to rent facility in Laverne, and we've been trying to find our forever home. We employ over 265 Nashvillians in our office, in our warehouse, in our community, and we want to relocate that to this location. We are in Laverne right now, and we want to be back on this side of town. I'll tell you, just to kind of give you an idea of where we are, we have an existing IR zoning, and based on what the community feedback was, concerns were, what if you don't stay here? What happens if you go? What happens if, who's next? Well, I want to build a facility that can be here for hopefully my children, and that we can continue on and go in this capacity. That's why we're going for the size that we're going for, and that's why also instead of sticking with an IR zoning, we're going to restrict the IR. So based on community feedback, we've had, I think, 4 community meetings at this point. Based on community feedback, it was, hey, we want to protect trees. We want to go through a lot of things. So in a give and take kind of scenario, what we're trying to do is we want to reduce the IR zoning. So where IR has less restrictions, where SP puts more restrictions on it, where it's only for warehouse distribution, there's no chemical storage, there's no production, there's no manufacturing or anything else that's, I guess, on the higher end of IR zoning. So we want to do that. And then also, based on heights and other things, with the Cato Road, we want to make sure none of my truck traffic, none of my personnel traffic, no traffic that we have go to Cato Road. It all stays on Ashland City Highway. And that's kind of where the land swap happened with the church, because the intention on that was the church right now has a parcel that makes my space a larger rectangle versus I have a long skinny rectangle. So this is more amenable for what our use is. The last thing I'll just say, just with regards to Best Friends, I think when we move from Laverne back to this part of town is, one, we'll employ more people from this Bordeaux neighborhood, and this is not something where I'm saying we're low-paying jobs. We have a very good starting wage. We have very livable wages. We do 401k, we do health insurance, everything you can think of in that capacity. We also really support and give back to the community. So where I'm saying, I don't want to come across insincere and tell you that we're going to donate only to this stuff and that stuff. We've been donating in this community and throughout all of Nashville for generations, and we will continue to do that. We support Pencil Foundation. I just had a big charity event with Youth Impact Outreach that we did about a month ago. We raised $350,000, and that Youth Impact Outreach is District 1, and that's what they do. So just from a scale and magnitude of what we can do because of our business and our deep roots and that sort of piece, we can, I think, affect and make real good change in this neighborhood. So also based on feedback from people within the community, something people say is like, it's great to have this big company or this company here, but how do we talk to people? How do we talk to someone in this? And kind of based on feedback, we thought it'd be a good use to have a community liaison. So we're gonna have someone in the community that will be available, their phone number's posted everywhere around, so there'll opportunity, one, to say if there's any grievances, if any of my trucks or any of my people, anyone is doing something that's not in the best interest of my company, it gives you an opportunity to get to us very quickly. And then also, as there are events, as there are opportunities within the community that we can support and we can actively be part of, both from people, from donations, from helping fundraise, you name it, we want to do that. So we want to hear from the community and have a person for everyone to go after. So.
I just have one recommendation to you.
Yes, sir.
I think it would be beneficial if you did or asked for the zoning change for the Ashland City property separate from the Cato Road property. The Cato Road property right now is RS 15. The church can build on that okay.
Exactly. So the SP, what the SP does is it virtually does that, but the one caveat it does with the church and or if there's any other zoning changes, it automatically reverts back. So we have it set to where if the church tried to change or do something, it reverts back to that. It doesn't allow anything. So when he says cottages, it's parsonages which are allowed by right by the church. So it's not, this isn't, and we'll be, obviously everything is going to be wide open, and we've been hopefully open book at this point with everything we presented. We have said the warehouse, everything we've shown has been the same since day one. Hopefully what we've, as best we can, taken community feedback and amend. And that said, that will be available for you to see, and we can show you, at least from our standpoint, I don't have the exterior and pieces done, but I at least know from a civil side, the elevations. And what I can tell you is from a roof height, we've figured out a way to do it to where the roof height of the warehouse actually sits below kind of where the ridge is on Cato Road, so that from a Cato Road neighborhood, this isn't gonna be some big warehouse that has lights and everything blaring on you. And last thing, security is really important to us as well, so we will obviously have people there around the clock, and also we've determined at this point that Cato Road has become a dump site over there. People come onto our property and are dumping who knows what back there, so we wanna also put fences up there before the church is able to go and that sort of piece to make sure that that's not happening. So we're gonna also have patrol over there to help with that.
I have a question not about that specifically, but you mentioned you all helped, what is Youth Pack?
Youth Impact Outreach,
What is that?
Robert Sherrill, he grew up in Bordeaux, and it's his charity that he does, and what it helps with incarcerated youth that to go back into society and also help them kind of find their path. So they're helping with scholarships, they're helping with kind of a whole list of things within that sort of realm within the community.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So yeah, if you're looking at the parcel map, just to give you clarity, so what we're showing is the red, that red dotted area is the existing church, and what we're doing is taking the Ashland City pieces, those two parcels. The gray is what's my existing. So the parcel that has the skinny part that goes to Cato Road, and back there will be the church, and then everything that fronts Ashland City Highway will become the Best Brands property. And the Best Brands property is then set up as well within the SP where there's no access at all to Cato Road. So that's entirely shut off. So I know that's important as well. Yes, sir, Ian. Not exactly. On the communication with the staff, they said that wasn't really an option at this point, and they said it was something that needs to go through the council and community. I mean, we've done this for, I guess, a lot of months now, having that conversation. So they weren't supporting any sort of plan amendment in that regard. So there wasn't an option in terms of having that conversation. They said just based, I mean, actually, I mean, to be honest, with the planning commissioners, when we had that meeting, they said, we like the idea, we like everything, but just based on what's involved in Nashville Next, I mean, they verbally said that in the meeting, that we can't support it just based on the guidelines within Nashville Next. And I fully understand that, and I will say, and I think that's something I've hopefully done with community, and you can see, we can show you in the further SP, and I'm more than happy to email and call and talk to anyone and everyone in the community. We've tried to increase setbacks. I mean, something that was important to Berkeley and that sort of piece was, as I said, protecting trees and that sort of thing. We have tree surveys going on to make sure we can keep all real trees. There's a lot, if you see the prior maps, there's a lot of stuff that really wasn't trees, but we want to do that and also plant more trees. And then instead of doing the 30-foot setback, we're doing a 100-foot setback. So we're also hopefully adding a little more setback as well. Yes, ma'am.
Want to say I am a person who has called them directly to ask my specific questions about this project, and I would encourage you all to do the same. I have a much better understanding of what it is that they are doing, both the church and the warehouse. So if you have questions, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to them directly and ask them the questions until you get comfortable with what it is or not. But I want to thank you for taking my questions. I want to thank you, Mr. Lockhart, also for taking my questions.
And if there's anything, I mean, if anyone wants to know community stuff that we've supported or community things that you think are important to you to support going forward, I mean, we're all ears, and that's what we do. I mean, we want to be an active proponent of the community and continue to be that.
Okay, I have another question. It's about traffic again.
Yes, ma'am.
So I know you said you'll have a bunch of trucks going up and down Ashland City Highway. Are you
No,
just
well, really, our
accessing-
trucks are, so we have 16-foot box trucks is the way to describe them. And our trucks are leaving normally before the grocery stores open, so they're leaving around 4:30 in the morning. And they're 90% of our trucks are going to be jumping directly onto Brawley Parkway.
That was my question.
Yes, ma'am. So I mean, most of our stuff is going everywhere else, exactly. And we're not doing it during peak hours, I would say, as well. Yes, sir.
Thank you. A couple of questions. It still seems to me unclear kind of what's happening here and the history of the project. There's not going to be a community plan amendment because it wasn't an option, or planning staff wouldn't support a community plan amendment. So I think some of the issue becomes for me that it seems unclear what the exchange is happening for the community. Even though a parcel is IR, you're looking to swap to use a different parcel for the warehouse use, which is non-compliant with the base zoning and also not compliant with the policy for the area. So I guess it doesn't feel very clear like what's happening, and it feels like maybe the community is not interested in additional industrial or warehouse uses in the area.
So what
and that if it's something that's zoned residential, that may be something that the community could support more, in the sense that expanding IR zoning doesn't really serve the community, despite kind of some of the benefits they're talking about people being able to have jobs there. At the same time that, I lost my train of thought, but you were going to say something. I'll continue when it comes back to me. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to say, so with the existing IR, a warehouse could be built. It's not a size optimal for me, but I'm sure it's a size optimal for someone else in that regard. I think it's one of these, I mean, the devil's in the details of those sort of pieces, and what I would tell you is yes, it's a slightly larger warehouse than what it is, and hence the reason to expand IR in that regard, but it's still a single warehouse, and instead of having an unknown with a IR zoning that allows lots of things like recycling and other stuff and whatever else, now you have a very limited IR basis, and you have someone who, I'm going to be blunt, is a very active person in the community who will support this community and will employ people within this community whose ownership is in Nashville and everything else. So this is not some out-of-state someone. This is not anything else. You're talking to the person, and this is my family's business.
And I appreciate that, and I appreciate that you open with that. And you know, on recycling, I guess my kind of question becomes, on other properties, this is the warehouse for Best Brands in Nashville?
So right now, this will be the warehouse for Best Brands.
So maybe it's something I should ask you on with an email or a voicemail.
Absolutely. I'm more than happy to give you my cell phone, and we can have any further dialogue you want as well.
Could you talk a little bit then about maybe what Eskimo Centennial's plans are on Donaldson?
Eskimo Centennial on Donaldson. So I have a separate company outside of Best Brands that does real estate development. So Eskimo Donaldson was parcels that, or Eskimo Centennial, excuse me, that it's on Donaldson Pike, were separate parcels that we bought from the state, and that is industrial development. It's, once again, not sizing that's even right for Best Brands, or not even in that realm. I mean, right now I'm actually working with a nonprofit. I can't kind of go through the whole details of that to hopefully build said facility for them.
Right, I think it just goes back to my perspective sharing as a community member that parcel being in DI policy and IR looks like a more appropriate destination for the liquor warehouse than Ashland City Highway and Cato Road, but that's just my opinion. So, thank you.
And I will say, diagonally across, there is an existing warehouse, just for clarity in terms of the area, diagonally across from this is a warehouse that does the exact same thing,
Yeah, but there's a difference.
I'm saying Empire Distributing, which is diagonally across, kind of right there next to Hunt Brothers, I say competitor, I say that like we're friendly competitors, we have different brands we sell and that sort of piece, but they're doing the exact same thing as us, and kind of the same trucks and same everything in terms of sizing for the most part.
I appreciate that, but that's kind of a slippery slope or a precedent argument where if I'm coming from a position of being heavily involved in Nashville Next and the development of the rural policies, this type of thing is not welcome. Like the sense of buying an RS-15 property that's, or partially AR2A that is T2 policied and then flipping it into an IR type use is not the kind of thing I think that planning had envisioned for when you treat something like Briley Parkway as a boundary in general for uses, or you can. So I think that's why
But it does, and I guess my only rebuttal of that would be, it does at least right size to some regard a pre-existing IR that's there by limiting scope. So I think by limiting the scope in existing IR, I get it's larger, it's expanding to some degree. We're extending the buffer well beyond what the reasons are. So I think if anything, we're hopefully, I mean, that was kind of the conversation with Berkeley when we went through this, was we're hopefully creating a larger buffer to say this is where the IR zone ends, and this is kind of that piece. I know it's a slippery slope, as you said, but I think there is an existing IR, and we are reducing the scope. And it's a, as I said, a local business versus a known entity.
Well, and the existing IR is out of date in the sense that National Next policy would be to guide any changes that you're making. So continuing to try and pry it into a larger just creates more problems for the community.
wait a
So
minute.
I think just the point is that
Okay.
maybe as it stands with the lack of details and the lack of benefit to the community, I don't support it as I'm seeing it here. But it doesn't mean that it couldn't be. So thank you.
And please feel free to call and talk to me. I mean, any details you want. It's open book, and I mean, everything's available. And hopefully, I think with Ian's sent a lot of stuff out there with traffic studies and all the pieces, we've done a lot of stuff, and it's hopefully available to anyone. Anyone who doesn't have it, we're more than happy to share all of it.
Council Lady, this is for you, as you go forward to put this in your memory bank, just for feedback. I'm in favor of what's going to restrict future industrial expansion. So if the land swap does happen and it's looking like you're gonna vote for it, take the buffer route to where in the future it limits more industrial in that area.
Right, thank you.
And I will say, so the
Well, wait, let me say something real quick. Now, I don't know, I could be wrong, and this just could be the lawyer in me. I don't think everybody quite understands, not just you, but even the questions that you guys have. You're talking, and I think as you talk, you presuming that people know some facts you haven't presented yet. So you all are talking about with the IR and the IR expansion, and nobody understands, but, you know, yeah, and so you're gonna have to, not deep, just more common language, what you mean, and, you know, just so they understand. I want the community to understand, and if you're talking, well, see the IR, and then you do this, and then the SP, well, then we revisited it. They don't know what, and I'm not blaming, all of you all are kind of talking over, you know, and presuming that people know things they don't.
I apologize on that. So IR stands for industrial restrictive. So I can't tell you all of the things that can happen under IR. There's a code book that Joey might know better than I, but there's a list of available things that can happen within that. SP is a specific plan. So instead of taking a general zoning, we're saying we're going to do this exact site, and we're going to do this exact restrictions within IR. So instead of allowing all the other leases IR, this is only for distribution. So if Best Brands folds and some other whatever, they can't use it for anything more than distribution. So it makes sure that there isn't any sort of future creep or heavier use. Yes, ma'am. Do we have a PowerPoint? I don't have a PowerPoint. I do have maps and stuff. I'm more than happy. I can share the Word documents and various things we have. I don't have a PowerPoint with this, but I do have pictures and kind of everything you could think of within other documents, PDFs and everything. And I'm more than happy to email, and I can email to the neighborhood association and everything as well. Yes, ma'am.
Always gets industrial or something that other neighborhoods don't get. And I think in light of knowing that you have another property where you could have taken this, it kind of even more.
That's not exactly accurate in that regard. So.
Well, it's here. And like I said, I appreciate the things that you do for nonprofits, but once again, I live over here. It's great, but that does not benefit me as a resident of this community. So I think for the fact that the goal is to stop bringing more industrial, sometimes you just have to stand up and say no. And you don't have to, you shouldn't have to barter with people to say, if you don't do this, this will happen. Sometimes you just have to keep fighting for what you want. And I'm of that philosophy. I don't believe in shaking hands with people who don't have my best interests, even if it's in your best interest. I understand where you're coming from, because I would do the same thing if I were you. But from my side, I don't want to see any more industrial. I want to see nice shops like I see in other areas where I can go in, feel safe, and purchase things that I like. And this whole situation between you and the other gentleman, none of it's making me feel good at all. I'm seeing something, the devil in the details of what's not being presented. So if you were doing houses, that would be something nice, because that actually, I see that could enhance the neighborhood. Or if you were doing a little nice strip mall or something small, maybe. But I'm not feeling this.
The last thing I'll say, just with regards to, just one comment back, I would tell you on the thing for the neighborhood, is also important for neighborhood are well-paying jobs for people within the neighborhood. So this will be well-paying jobs. We're talking about 300 employees within this neighborhood and surrounding communities that will be supported in the community.
Yeah, I'm a developer as well, and I was actually looking at this property to purchase this at one point. And to address some of your concerns about development going down Ashland City Highway West, the infrastructure is not there. The sewer or the water is there to justify moving down. So you would have to buy the 300 acres, the other 300-acre parcel to justify $10 million being put in the ground to run water and sewer underneath Bradley Parkway. It would be extensive. Well, I'm just talking about just the further expansion. This will probably be all that can handle as far as the existing infrastructure without an additional $10 million being spent. So it's probably not going, it's nothing over there to justify spending that type of money on infrastructure to do development down at this point. It can access sewer and water from right there, but as far as doing something else, you won't have the water capacity. I think somebody is already saying that, that's the end. Unless somebody bought the Golden Dragon, the 300 acres, Huddleston's place, like we were, and we was going to invest the $10 million, but we didn't get it. They stopped it. That was it.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Williams, and I'm a resident in Bordeaux. And my brother was before I was for the last 13 years or so. And so I would just like to say that I personally, I know he would like to see something great that adds to the community over there. So I would say that I'm not in favor of industrial, because I drive up and down there all the time. I'm always looking at the landscape and the beautification of Bordeaux as being in real estate, as well as being in development and understanding how the process works. I am looking for something to add to Bordeaux as someone that has to drive a long ways away in order to get anything done. And so being off of Valley Parkway, I would like to see something add to all of these residents that live in this community versus an industrial. So I don't know if there's a way to create a mixed use, maybe get something that you know, just create a win-win on such a large mass piece of property. So that would be my thoughts.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Roosevelt Williamson, and this is about the third or fourth meeting I've sat through, and I want to thank you guys for being patient. Council Lady, you know the history. This thing kind of got started when we were in that, when we had ineffective council representation. I'll say that to be politically correct. And you're kind of falling right in line with this, but these gentlemen have been consistent in the presentation. I've sat through meetings at the Y, at the other church down the street, and then here, and they've been consistent with what they've been presenting. I'm excited about that church, and I'm not a member of this church, but one church, one Lord, one baptism, but I won't go there. They want to do something that will help the youth, and I'm excited about that because, as you well know, with the problems we have with our youth, and I won't get on that soapbox, they're trying to open the doors to do something to help that piece of the problem. And so the warehouse thing, I don't believe you guys are going to be selling liquor out of the boxes over there. This is a warehouse opportunity, so it's a warehouse down in Hunt Brothers already. I can get with the not extending it anymore, but I just want to thank you guys for being here and presenting it. I don't know how many presentations you guys have made before present, planning, after present. You guys have sent out emails, so you guys tried to be transparent as best as possible. So thank you. And again, welcome to the team, Council Lady.
Thank you.
All right. I think, Mr. Taylor, he was supposed to have choir rehearsal. And I didn't know it was supposed to start at 7:15. Well, I'm sorry, 7 o'clock. I apologize.
I apologize.
I did not know.
I'm so sorry.
He didn't give me a limitation. And I
We're going to ask you to come sing on Sunday to help us out, okay?
You might reduce your membership after that. You better be careful.
Oh, no, you're right about that. You're right about that. Maybe you can put some in the tithes and offering bucket, make up for it. All right. I did have a question for you before we finish up. I heard you say something about Nashville Next. Is this in line with Nashville Next or not? Okay, and that's all I wanted to know. I spent a lot of time working on Nashville Next as an employee with the school system and with Metro Health Department, and that was an opportunity for the community, folks like yourself who own property in the community, to say what we wanted to have happen with the properties in this district. And we stated that, and we created a plan. And I like planning. I like to go along with the plan that we put in place. Now, there can be adjustments, right? And I think that's what you're coming to the community for, is for an adjustment to that. I think what I heard from Ms. Donegan here is that there's not enough benefit to the community from this project happening. There's benefit to you, there's benefit to the church, right? But not necessarily to the folks that live here. And I live right there on Jordan Ridge. And so it would definitely affect me if you had trucks coming out on a Cato, right? I'd lay down across the ground to prevent that, right? Right, and I understand that. And so that's why I'm open to the conversation about it. But I think we're looking for how is this going to benefit the community, and we're not seeing that. And so, and I understand. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is the first time I'm hearing about a gym back there in the woods for the kids. So this is the first time I'm hearing that. But if we can show that there is some benefit, I think that you might get a little bit more buy-in from the community.
And I'm more than happy to show kind of from, I mean, obviously at the warehouse, I can't say the benefit of what that warehouse itself does, but I get a benefit. I'm more than happy to provide bullets of all the things that we do within the community, we'll do and we'll show.
All right, because I love Robert Sherrill, and I love his program, but we got some kids that are right here behind this church that done burned our bus up. They breaking into Michelle's space. on Clarksville Highway. So we got a lot of issues going on in this community that we need help with, all right? And so if we were to agree to something like that, we need some really strong community commitment that we're gonna change these things. So I just want to put that out there. I've been listening in the back and trying to manage the cameras and all of that for you, but
And that's the kind of language I meant. When you spoke, everybody understood. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, what are we getting out of it? You know, just language. Like, I'm not saying that that's right, or I'm just saying you used regular, everyday language. I think everybody understood when he said that exactly what he meant. And other similar language. And you all are understanding what I'm saying. Like, you got to use some language that people understand. But thank you all. We're not going to be able to stay here. But let me say this, because he probably won't tell you. Our very own Robert Taylor, who allows us to use the church, who has been allowing us to use the church, is on the ballot for school board. And we need some real change. We do need real change. So, I mean, I don't get it. Is that wrong? I don't know if I'm supposed to do that. But anyway, yeah, I'm just saying, okay, I just appreciate, you know, all you've done, even when you weren't running, how you let us come over here and use it, and I appreciate all that. I just wanted you to know that. But yeah, that's the kind of language I mean. And it, you know, I don't know, I can tell there's some clear, I understand the clear no's. There's some that are kind of, well, maybe if this, if that, and then there was a, you know, I support. I've also gotten the emails, some not supporting, some very strong support. So I just want you to know I've gotten everything. I think I responded to everybody, but I don't know, I may not have. But I try to say I received it, I don't know though. But thanks to everybody coming out. I'm gonna follow up with you, Ms. Epps, on yours. I believe the church, the other church, we had support. I think you're fine, And where else? Oh, the other, yeah, I can't remember what happened with you. Do you remember? I'll talk to you. We'll talk about that. Yours is the one that was out of district, and then you came in district. We're going to have some follow-up. Because, I mean, just at this point, I don't, you know, I don't feel comfortable. You know, it's, I mean, yeah, okay. All right, does anybody else need to say anything else about anything? No. Oh, that's right. Thank you all. And don't forget next week for our safety meeting. Next week, we need, I hadn't said where. I'm going to send an email. Make sure you signed in. If you're not on the email list, I need your email address to keep you informed of District 1. Okay.
So ask Ronnie about Ryan Moses. Okay. So
So where's the District 1 meeting at?